Reevaluate. And we are live, Christine. We are live. We made it. Good morning, everyone. We are live here today on the Freedom Seeker Show. I'm your host, Yvonne Winkler, and I'm so excited to have this dialogue with my good friend Christine here today about moving into your radiant life. Christine is the author of the book Radiant Achievement, and we'll talk a little bit about this today. It's a best-selling book too. Oh, I just glanced over and I'm like, best-selling book, Radiant Achievement. And I met Christine some time ago through eWomen Network, I believe it was.
Yes.
We both attended, and Christine is in beautiful California, and that was one of the best parts I thought about this whole COVID thing is that we all started to connect from all over the place. We found a way to make it happen. We all learned how to work Zoom, and we all got together and did it that way. And the moment I met Christine, I was like, oh my goodness, I want to know more about this woman and your journey. And so we have been staying in touch for well over a year now, and just watching each other's journey and often connect on soulful calls and go, oh, this is what's happening right now. How did you handle this? And vice versa. So I'm so happy you're here today, Christine. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the Freedom Seeker Show, where we have unfiltered conversations that matter to women. And I can't think of a better person to really speak on the topic of resilience and radiant achievement than you. So welcome to the show. Let's start with, Christine, who are you?
Well, first and foremost, thank you, Yvonne. I know this has been in the works for us for a little bit of time, and it's really, truly divine timing that is happening now in so many ways. And I'm eternally grateful for the timing and for our connection. You said it so well. We do have this soul connection, and I love having those conversations with you. So who am I? That's a really big question, Yvonne. Here's how I'd like to share who I am and what I'm about now is I'm a
Mm-hmm.
mentor. I'm an author. I feel like I'm a teacher. I'm a speaker, and I'm a catalyst. And specifically, what I do is guide ambitious women to ditch the frenzy that we've all been taught, to reclaim their innate essence, and to say yes to their deepest desires and callings, and to bring them to life with grace and ease. And all of that really sums up to living your radiant life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Woman of my heart, right there. I love that. So tell us a little bit about what brought you onto this journey. What happened? Where did you start from? And then what
Yeah.
happened that moved you into writing a book about this topic and the life that you live today?
I'm happy to share. Well, like most stories, I was not living a radiant life. And I've had my moments in my life, whether when I was in corporate America, then as a wife and a mom, these moments of saying yes to me, but many of them were really geared toward me
Mm-hmm.
serving, supporting, and uplifting somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And over the course of my lifetime, or at least this a really big 20-year stretch of really a lot of self denial, I started to feel lifeless, dull, disconnected. I was disconnected from who I truly was. And I fortunately had a couple wake up calls because there was a lot of dis-ease in my life that manifested in
Mm-hmm.
disease.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2015 or 2014, I think it was actually, I was diagnosed with early stage breast cancer. And I was coaching. I had just kind of really rejuvenated my coaching career, was going down a health coach track at that time. And with this diagnosis, it caused me to really pause and get off the treadmill and look at what's out of alignment here, because
Mm-hmm.
dis-ease means something's out of alignment. And one of the big lessons I learned from that, Yvonne, was that I truly was not loving myself.
Hmm.
And I could say it intellectually if I looked in the mirror or somebody asked me, and I'm like, of course I love myself. Like, it's a logical thing to love yourself. But when I really took a hard look in my eyes in the mirror, I saw that I was not really loving myself. It was all intellectual. With every essence of my being, I wasn't. And that dove me into a lot of work around self-worth and old hurts, and a lot of things from, childhood conditioning that I had the opportunity to face and then release. So I started
Mm-hmm.
moving into this beautiful place of loving myself more, appreciating myself more. And then my second wake up call happened, which was the end of my 21-year marriage. And it was at a point when I was just getting so excited to have that empty nest syndrome. And we were going to be newlyweds again. And we could do all these couple things that I dreamt about for so many years. And then it's like the suitcases just dropped, and every dream I had was gone. And that was a big, big, um, boy, a big pause in my life. And what I found with that one, Yvonne, was I was really taking a lot of responsibility for how did I get here. It wasn't about him and what he did or yada yada. It was about, how did I get here. The breast cancer was one wake up, because I'm one to believe that we create our world, we create our reality. So who was I being? How was I showing up, or more importantly, not showing up for myself, that got me here? And in that divorce healing, I really did a deep dive into my thoughts, my beliefs, my actions, my conditioning. And I saw that I was living in this go, go, go. It was all about the doing. It wasn't about the being. It wasn't about expressing my essence. It was about what was expected of me. It was about what I was conditioned to think was the right path, and how I should be as a wife, as a mom. And I have many beautiful memories, and I love my children. I loved the journey that I had. There was a beautiful, a lot of beautiful memories in that journey, and then a lot of painful memories that I created for myself. So as I started looking at that, I was saying, I want to live this next phase of my life differently. What does that look like? And that's when I started really getting tuned into my heart, my soul. I started listening versus thinking. I let my creativity start to bubble up. And I started one step at a time, reorienting like every aspect of my life, and started to find more joy, more peace, more ease in my life. And out of my journey, then I put that into my work as a coach. And then the book Radiant Achievement was inspired from that reorientation to how I'm living, how I'm leading, and how I'm achieving. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, as a coach and a mentor and a teacher, I can't just hold that in for myself. It's something that was meant to be shared. And so that's now a big part of, that is the core of the work that I do when I work with somebody personally, or at one of my retreats.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. So many questions bubbled up for
Yes,
me.
so many nuggets there.
Yeah, sure. Um, so, I mean, this is, it sounds like about an 8, 9 year journey now for you. That since
Yeah.
since
Yep.
this has kind of
Since the cancer.
started.
Yeah.
And the question that kept coming up for me was, is, I see the path, and certainly a lot of it I resonate with, from walking at similar things myself, and I know it wasn't as easy as it just sounded in the summary of it all.
You're getting the Reader's Digest version, just the highlights. No, there were some
So
heavy
I loved,
moments in that.
yeah. So I loved how,
Uh,
you've took us full circle, and I'd like to go back for a minute and just really lean into that moment when you received that diagnosis, that the first wake
Yeah.
up call, as you call it, and you said, uh, you moved through it, and then the second one was your divorce. But I'm curious, what do you think was the difference between that wake up call and that wake up call in terms of how you knew what it is you needed to do
Yeah.
differently, or how to move
Yeah.
forward?
Yeah. Well, the first one for me very much felt like, and I did start listening to my intuition through that whole journey from the wake up calls. And this was one of the things that I realized in this journey is I've always had a very strong intuition, and I've really shut it down for a lot of my adult years, especially
Mm.
once I became a mom and a wife. It was more in my head, and it wasn't connecting to my intuition the way I could. And so when I tapped
Mm-hmm.
in and I really got quiet and looked at things, I a book came to me, The Art of Extreme Self Care, and
Mm.
I think Marianne Williamson wrote that actually. And as I read that book, I so much resonated with me that I was not caring for myself. When you're
Mm-hmm.
young, your mom cares for you, your dad, or you've got grandparents, but as an adult, we need to, no one's going to do it for us. We need to. And I flat out, my self care, my rest time, taking care of my needs physically, emotionally, spiritually, time and again, I denied that. So for me, when I got quiet and sat with it, it was very much the self care piece. And then again, when I went into just sitting with, and I spent so much time in both of those journeys, sitting in a chair, legs crossed, a lot of times with a blanket, cup of tea, tears flowing. I had my journal, and I just let whatever wanted to come up,
Mm.
because I had suppressed things for so long, right? I just pushed all those feelings down, and again, in that place of listening, what came up was the lack of self-love, and the ongoing, as a result of the lack of self-love, the ongoing self-denial.
Mm.
And where again, I had expected my husband to be the one to put me on a pedestal, to ask me what my needs and desires and take care of those things for me. Well, why would he do that when I wasn't doing that for myself?
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of, boy, I'll tell you, sadness, a big wave of sadness I went through for how I treated myself. I think that
Mm.
was one of the toughest things that I felt and came to accept, was truly how I was the one who had turned my back on me. And it took a while to work through that. It did. And just like, to the degree that we deny is to the degree then I think we can catapult ourselves to allow and to step into. So those pains, they're not pains anymore, but they were memories that unlocked parts of me and ways of being that I'm committed to for the rest of my life.
Mm. Did you have guidance through that
Oh yeah.
process? Yeah.
Yes.
Did
I,
you?
I for number one, I was seeing a therapist.
Yeah.
I then and I found back in the day I was going through Claire Zammit. She's actually from Canada, and she had a whole series of classes, different levels of programs on feminine power. And I serendipitously, something was in my inbox. I found it. I went to her first 7-week class, which led to the 9-month program, which led to the year-long certification in this transformational leadership, or feminine leadership transformation. And it was that perfect thing for me, because it was all about your journey. It was all about
Mm-hmm.
claiming yourself, owning
Mm-hmm.
who you are. And so much of what I learned from her really became the foundation for the new life that I'm living now. So she was a key teacher for me.
Ah, I just love this so much because here's what I hear. Um, and this has also been my experience, is that when we become quiet, we can hear. And I loved how you said it. I turned from thinking to listening. And we have to give ourselves that space to just turn it all off and become quiet so that we can hear. And that old saying of, when you're ready, the teacher will appear. That is literally what happened to you here and to me as well. It's beautiful how when we are quiet, we can see who and what is looking to support us in the ways that we actually need to be supported. And so the quiet to be able to hear is such an important piece, uh, because I felt like I was constantly looking for things outside of myself to make the pain
Right.
go away and to not hurt so badly anymore. And it was getting quiet so I can see and hear what, for those of us who are visual, um, some of us get those messages visually as well. But getting quiet is essentially what that is. Um, Curious before I move into the seasons. The Is there a specific way that what what does getting quiet mean to you? Like,
Yeah.
was it just the sitting and the journaling, or?
The sitting in the journaling, and I would do some grounding breaths, like 3 cleansing breaths. Sometimes I would do imagine the root coming out of the soles of my feet or out of the base of my
Mm,
spine into Mother Earth and really try and ground myself, be present, and just kinda expand. I like to expand my energy and feel like this my big container of energy that I have and just kinda just feel into that,
mm-hmm,
and that is something a practice I still absolutely do to this
mm.
day.
I love that. And for those of you who are watching or listening right now and do not know yet how to get quiet, start with whatever feels most natural to you. So whether it's walking around the block and maybe you leave the headphones at home and the phone at home and you just walk and be with your thoughts, be with yourself, or whether it's a walk in nature. I love those are my favorites. I That's my best place to connect and listen. My favorite place to listen, I don't think I ever shared that, is actually the bathtub. There's
Ah,
something about water for me. So if I can't be near the ocean or near the water or body of water, the best place to bring that home is the bathtub for me. It's just it's a really beautiful place to listen. Now it's a
beautiful.
bit tricky with the journaling in the bathtub, but
Yeah, I can imagine.
Um, Christine,
Uh,
if we can, I'd love to move into the seasons for a moment, because what I'm just learning right now and really embracing in the Harmony Planner that my friend and colleague Lisa and I developed are the seasons, and working more with the seasons rather than with the Gregorian calendar. And this is when we need to do what. Um, and what I just recently learned are that the archetypes that we encompass actually match up with the seasons. So what
ah,
I heard you say is um, I was a mother and I was taking care of everything else and everyone else, and that's hands down the mother archetype, and that's who you were. And then what I heard is you were moving into the wild woman, and the wild woman is the fall season, the season of the fall. And that the wild one of the some of the energies around the wild woman are that we're reclaiming a lot of the things we had kind of left behind in the mother phase. And the reason why I wanted to bring this into this conversation is because I feel like there is so much out there about reclaiming and be self care and um, taking care of ourselves first before we take care of our kids, and that brings up so much shame and so much guilt for women. Um, and when I heard this about the archetypes, it what happened for me was it suddenly made sense, and it allowed me to say, okay, while I'm in this archetype, in this season of motherhood, this is something more that is where my energy is going to go. And then when there will be another season where I get to reclaim that, there will also be another season when I become the wise woman, which is the crone archetype, and that's winter. So I felt so much freedom around knowing that there's different seasons
Mhm.
for women. So if you're a woman right now watching and listening, who is still in the season of being a mother and being in the mother archetype, know that it is okay. That we are our responsibilities and our energies are going to different priorities at that moment in time. What Christine and I are saying are be aware, become aware, so that you're not missing that intuitive the intuitive languaging that's constantly happening in our bodies, and the messages that are constantly dropping in, to maybe not get to this place of disease, maybe not get to this place of discontent where you're literally climbing out of a hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that can be a really hard and rough journey as well, and can take some time. So how do you feel about that you might be in the
I
art in the
I
wild
love
woman
that
archetype?
because I feel that, and it's so perfect that you said that. It's y Again, everything we step into, there's layers to it. So when I first moved into this phase, the season that I'm in now, it was like I really said yes to every creative thing that came to me. And that's why in my business, I wrote a book, I launched an app, I created products, I rebranded my website, I did, speaking, I did all these things. I was this like little kid in a candy store.
Yeah.
You could not stop. I could not stop myself. It just felt great, and I was just in the zone with all these things, and that's been great. And then I'm feeling, again, staying tapped into the intuition. The last year was really all about, okay, I've done all these creative things. Now in my business, I really want to create the strong vision and structure to
Mm-hmm.
bring my message to the women I'm here to serve, to take my business to the place that I see as possible.
Yeah.
And so that's been going on. And then funny you say this, because I was curious, I kind of wanted to talk about it, is uh, something this year has really come to me about really looking at everything. Because, and I'll set the context a little bit. I had denied my feelings. I had denied inklings. I had denied in the mother phase, in this phase, it doesn't matter. But now, and I believe part of really moving into our most radiant life is being willing to look at everything, being willing to accept everything where it's at, even those parts where we've denied ourselves, or maybe where we still have some healing to do. And I'm stepping into, and like reawakening, I'll say, my sensuality and my sexuality
Mm-hmm.
in a way that I've not claimed for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels really amazing to, again, own that whole part of the journey and know it never has to end in what we create and desire, because we say yes to one thing, it's going to open up something new for us. So
Yeah.
every season has beautiful blessings if we're willing to become open-hearted and look at things, be curious, and listen with
Mm-hmm.
that, from that heart space.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yes, yes, yes. So, speaking of seasons, we're in the season of spring, and we called this episode Moving into Your Radiant Life. And I love the choice of words that you had there. Instead of stepping into, we said moving into, because really the feminine is all about flow and movement, rather than these leaps and bounds and harsh moves. So what does the moving into your radiant life mean to you?
Yeah. What it means to me is, again, that component of the stillness and the inner listening. So moving into my radiant life means staying present with myself every day, every week, and what is desiring to come through me. What are those little intuitive hits I'm getting of things that bring me joy, that are maybe gifts and talents for me to expand upon and to experience at a higher level. It's I like to say it's the gifts, the talents, the passions, and those callings, and the more we stay connected to what it is and say yes to it, and follow the intuitive guidance, that is really, we're moving through our radiant life that way. So if we want to move into our radiant life, it's about listening and taking action on the intuition and saying yes to the things that bring us joy and pleasure, and allowing ourselves to experience our essence in ways we've not allowed ourselves to really experience up till now.
Hmm. How do you know what brings you joy and what, like, how do you discern between those, the things that you have to do and the things that actually bring you joy and you want to
For
do?
me, yeah, for me, it's I hear things and I feel things, and it's, if again, if we get connected to, and this was part of my journey, get back in our bodies, right? We feel activated, like my heart starts to beat a different way. I feel a
Yeah.
little tingle. I get a smile on my face, like there's a little bubble of excitement. I remember this when I started taking um salsa lessons, just getting
Woo!
out dancing, and it was
How
like this
fun.
little, like, oh my gosh, that sounds so fun. We know, we intuitively know, we don't have to think, is this going to bring me joy or not? If we,
Hmm.
again, listen into what our body is telling us, or what we hear, what we feel, what we sense, sometimes it's a gut thing for people. We
Hmm.
we can connect and know what
Yeah.
brings us joy.
Yeah, so learning really how to read your own body and how to read these intuitive hits that we're getting. So whether you are seeing them, whether you're hearing them, whether you are feeling them. I'm a feeler. I feel my, like, everything comes through me this way. Sometimes I hear it, but it's definitely more of a feeling for me. Um, and that excitement, like even just when you said, salsa dancing, I'm like, woo, yes, I'm there. Sign me up. That would be something that I actually should be looking into if they have some salsa lessons here, because that would be so much fun. And did you do all of this by yourself, or some of it by yourself? Yeah, you did. So you
Yeah,
just went
yeah.
and signed up and
Yeah.
and
I
you.
did have a friend who was already taking lessons, and she is the one who encouraged me to start.
Hmm.
And then, and I will say, after a while of taking lessons and going to the group classes at the studio, I told them I'm not coming back until I start going out and actually dancing on the weekends, or going places. So that was my challenge, was then to take that next step and get out of the comfort zone of the class, and actually go to a club, or go to a, somewhere where they're doing dancing. And now I found my little, current little niche of people, and actually I switched to swing dancing, which I love. And it's great. I do it when I'm inspired to do it. I don't feel like I have to or should be doing it a certain amount of time. So it kind of ebbs and flows for me based on what's going on in my life, and it's beautiful.
That is beautiful. And speaking again about the seasons, so we, in the planning retreats that we have done, that's really what we emphasize is when you create a joy list of the things that bring you joy, maybe even add beside that what season that really could fall into, because we don't do all things all the time and all year round. So I love that you bring that up, that it ebbs and flows, because that's what joy really should be about, is that we're doing it because we want to, not because we have to, and because the
Right.
schedule says you have to do this right now. You have a retreat coming up.
I
I'd love to hear a little
do.
bit more about that. Oh my goodness, you're going to Spain. Oh, this is where my journey started. I love this so much. Can you tell us more about what the retreat is and what someone can expect?
Sure, sure. So the retreat is called the Radiant Reality and Mindful Movement Retreat. And
Ooh.
my piece, I'm doing this in collaboration with a dear friend and colleague of mine, Ana Nieto. And she is a personal trainer, and she's all about body, mind, and spiritual fitness. So our work dovetails so beautifully together, because she gets you in your body and reconnects you with your, feeling, being able to feel things and connect with things and come from here, versus your head. And then I, as that catalyst, the retreat is really about helping a woman, again, get still, give herself permission to step out of her known
Mhm.
into the unknown a little bit and get reacquainted with her heart, with her essence, with her soul, with what's calling to her at this moment in life, whether that's something professionally or personally, but to really like incubate that, feel it, see it, get clarity around it, and then ignite it. So then after the retreat, you can start to take steps in ways that are meaningful to you to bring that vision to life. And with the movement practices and the embodiment practices, again, it helps you then to be able to approach that journey from a whole new paradigm where you're not coming home thinking about to-do lists and strategies and project plans. You're coming home with a deep connection to yourself and the vision and the why, and you're anchored in there. So then you let those steps unfold in a little more ease-filled ways, and yes, you plan, but it's sourcing from that inner knowing and that
Mhm.
inner, intuition first.
And trust. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
trust, yeah.
Ah.
So it's, that woman who is really feeling that deep craving and longing, like, now is my time. Now is my time to explore and to be curious and to really, I really want to bring this next level. And I don't want to live in that status quo that I'm tired of it. I want to just express and be me and bring this idea to life. That is the woman who is our ideal
Mhm.
participant, because we will just nurture you, love you, and give you the space to blossom. And it's so amazing because some of the women in the past who were those people, they've come back just igniting parts of themselves they never knew existed, and now who they are being is this beautiful essence that they are just blown away with, that's this is who they are.
Oh, that sounds so amazing, Christine, like on every level. I don't know if you knew this, but Spain is where um I had my first awakening around like just wanting to change the status quo and wanting to just step into my radiant self. And so this is 12 years ago now, but um to be going back to that sounds just so wonderful, and to have the guidance of two uh, wonderful people that can just hold the space and really bring some inquiry and guidance to the process would just speed up the whole process. Like it took me 9 months.
It's all good, it's all good. Yes,
Whereas this
exactly.
retreat is how long?
It's so 6 days. It's a
6
week.
days, so
It's just
it's a week.
sort of a week, whole week,
And
yeah.
it's in Spain.
In Spain, it's the end of August, the 27th of August to the 2nd of September. And we do have an add-on excursion day to Alhambra and Granada for those that are looking for a little cultural experience to really anchor in all that you've unfolded and ignited in the retreat.
Mm.
But yeah, it's at a beautiful retreat center called Santillan, and it's a magical place with views of the Mediterranean Sea, and the food is farm to table. They grow so much. It's like all from the local farmers, which will be amazing. And just everything is just created with so much care and love.
Mm-hmm. And no Spanish required
No
because.
Spanish required.
And where can we find out more about this amazing retreat?
Yes, you can go to radiantrealityretreat.com, and that'll link you to my main website where you can see all the information. We have a ton of photos from the venue and photos of past retreats, all the highlights, what you can expect, FAQs, really everything. And there's also a link if you do have questions and you want to connect with me or Anna and I to have a phone call. There's a link for you there to do that also.
Ah, amazing. I am so excited for this. You have done many retreats over the last few years that I've known you. And all of them have looked and sounded so fabulous. I know what happens when a few women come together and really just nurture each other into the space and place where they're at. And it is transformational. There's no question in my mind about that. I just came back from a retreat, and I know I'm not the same Yvonne that went into that retreat. So anything like that, and when you can combine it with a cultural shift and seeing something different and being in a different environment than your own, it just has so much more power behind it, because you're literally moving out of your environment to just experience something new and something different. So I love the concept. I love the idea, and I thank you so much for sharing this
Mm,
with us here
you're
on the Freedom Seeker Show, and with this Freedom Seeker community. I'm I can't wait to have you come back and hear how this retreat went, and also to hear more about your book. Where can we get your book, Radiant
Yes, you can
Achievement?
get the book, Radiant Achievement, right here. It's on Amazon online. It's on Barnes and Noble.
And you
I
have it on
do have
your website,
I have it on link on my website, which is
Howard.
christinemarieHoward.com. And there will be on the menu, you'll see the link for the book, and it takes you right to Amazon, but that's all, it's all perfect. So yeah, you get to know a little bit more about the book and me if you go to the website too, which is always great.
That's amazing. I have I'm just glancing at it. I have your notes here from the website, as well as where to follow you, and the link for the retreat. I wrote it down. So I'm going to put all of
Beautiful.
this below this video. Thank you so much for being with us today, Christine. Do you have a final words of wisdom that you would like to share with us before I let you go?
Yeah, I think what the message I want to leave for all the amazing women watching is that no one is going to give you permission to live your best life, to move into your radiant life. You are the one, my dear, beautiful woman, that has to say yes to you. You are worthy, you deserve this, and there's so much in you that is wanting to be expressed. Now is the time to do it in your way.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love that. And we
Welcome.
will see you when you get back from Spain. Hopefully in September, we'll have you on the show again, if you agree to it.
Would
I
love
just
that.
totally put you on
Absolutely,
the
my
spot.
dear. All good. Absolutely love to share for sure.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, Christine, for being here,
Okay.
and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Okay. Bye, everybody.